Conor McGregor's first pitch, immediately on the list of all-time terrible first pitches, which you can see here is a very long list. But when your catcher trying to catch the ball is shocked at how bad it is, that is bonus points. Let's go.
There it is.
Better to miss high than bouncing.
Baba Booey, Carl Lewis, 50 Cent, Kevin Blackistone. You have a bad one too? Is that right? I don't know. We'll get to that later. NFL injuries piling up. This past Sunday was triage for quarterbacks, and today, well, news of the day from Chicago. Let's start there. Andy Dalton is going to be out Sunday, which means Justin Fields will officially get his first start for the Bears. So that's enormous news. Also in Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, he's going to be out this week versus the Raiders. That's now a fractured rib, they're saying. Tyrod Taylor's out with a hamstring, and he's on the IR, so Houston's without him tomorrow night and more. Carson Wentz sprained both ankles on the same play. How one does that is beguiling. And Ben Roethlisberger hurt a pec on a play. The Steelers don't know even which play it was. So it's his left pec, which is not his pecking pec. But he is also injured. That's 15% of the league right now going into week 3. Tim Caliscio, where do you want to start?
I thought we had made this position safe. I thought Eli Manning played his entire career without getting hurt. I thought that's what quarterbacks did today. But no, they're dropping again. And while I think the Roethlisberger thing is scary because, as you said, they don't know when he got hurt. That feels like something that happens to me after I don't even know when I got this, but all of a sudden it hurts. He is 39 years old. But I still think Carson Wentz, Colts fans got to feel like this guy just got here. Has he had 3 injuries already? How many different times is he gonna go down with different things? And again, as you said, he puts himself in these positions that other quarterbacks just don't. He takes these massive hits. He takes these risks, and he hurts both ankles, sprains both ankles on one play. That just seems like this is not going to be the happy story going home to Frank Reich the Colts were hoping.
Just for a follow-up, we talk about injuries, and of course injury. No one can predict injuries. There are fluky injuries. You think with Wentz that's not the case. He puts himself in position is what you said.
I feel like he takes a lot of risks when he's out there, whether it's running, whether it's holding the ball too long, whether it's not seeing things. And that's what they were thinking at the end of his time in Philadelphia, and it doesn't seem to have changed.
Bob Ryan, I'll bring you in here on Triage Wednesday. All the news with quarterbacks. Where do you want to start?
Even with all the methods and procedures that have taken place to protect quarterbacks and make it a less hazardous profession, it remains one of the most hazardous ways to make a living as a professional athlete, as we found out on Sunday. And the moral of the story is you damn well better have a good backup quarterback. Now, of all the stories out there, and some of them are good, the one that intrigues me is the one in Chicago for 2 reasons. One is that virtually every ex-player analyst on this and any other network seems to think that Justin Fields should have had the job in the first place. It seems to be a unanimous opinion in that regard. Secondly, that way that Matt Nagy has bungled this publicly, the way he cannot get out of his own metaphorical way, and the way he handled the thing the other day was an embarrassment not just to him and the Bears, but to coaches everywhere. It is the most intriguing of all these situations because of his involvement.
Tell us how you really feel, Bob. It's specifically from a football sense. Justin Fields as he prepares for his first start and what you've seen.
Well, I'm anxious to see him play, I'm just listening to the experts. I'm anxious to see him play and see how he'll do.
AB, can you start in Chicago here with the news of the day? Justin Fields will get his first start on Sunday.
Sure. Well, you would rather him have gotten his first start by having earned it rather than through injury. But this is what everybody in Chicago wants to see. Too bad for Dalton, but this is Justin Fields' team going forward, and unless he just drops the ball, literally.
I don't know, though. If you're reading in between the lines and you're actually reading the lines that the PR team of Chicago is giving you, it still seems it's Andy Dalton's teams when healthy. So to the point that this is a rookie quarterback who's trying to begin his career now, and he's getting all these messages. He may be getting a different message behind the scenes, and he may be clear, but the way they played it publicly, do you believe that factors any way into how he's going to start on Sunday?
I mean, the way the Bears front office has performed in the last few years, that may be the case. But I just think that listening to Chicago Bears fans, and I know quite a few from having lived in the city for a few years, they want to see Justin Fields. They do not want to see Andy Dalton. So this is going to be the opportunity for Justin Fields to take control. And I'll just say one other thing. The other thing that jumps out to me about all these quarterback injuries is Ben Roethlisberger, because here's a guy who is looking like they don't make quarterbacks like him anymore. He has played through fractured nose, fractured ribs, a fractured thumb, and here he is. His pec doesn't feel real good when he reaches down to pick something up or have to push himself up off the ground, and still the guy's going out there.
Well, it's not his pecking peck. I mean, I believe we established it. It's his left peck. Ramona Shelburne on the news today from the quarterback position in the NFL.
Well, I actually thought it was good news for the Bears because they have Nick Foles on their team. Nick Foles is one of the best backups in the NFL, and they could have put him right in there. But Justin Fields goes in here. He's QB1 now, and I know Matt Nagy is saying, okay, it's Andy Dalton's job when he comes back. They said the same thing about Tyrod Taylor when he lost his job with the Chargers last year. Justin Herbert came in, took the job, and never looked back. So I think this is setting up very well for the Bears here. It's not how it should have gone, but that's where it is now. And my friend Mina Kimes had, I think, the reaction of all of Chicago when she put up a picture today on Twitter. White smoke coming out. They've elected a new pope.
Khaled Shaw on where it is in Chicago now. And if you feel the way, and bungled was the word Bob used, that Chicago has played all this will affect Fields on the field.
They seem to be, listening to too much talk radio and responding to everything there, and they ought to just go about doing the business of coaching. But, in their case, it's going to be very interesting because they're playing the Browns. So Fields' first start against the Browns. That was supposed to be very good defense. They haven't played well the first 2 weeks. They didn't even play well against Houston last week. They got 3 sacks in 2 games. So how do Myles Garrett and those guys react to that coming after Fields?
So I said it was 15% of the league, right? That's 5 teams if they're 32. The idea that someone could call Cam Newton, is anybody going to put a call in for Cam Newton? Houston, Pittsburgh, Kevin Blackistone, you're shaking your head no.
It is amazing to me that no one has called Cam Newton, given the way the quarterbacks are going down right now. But even before they went down,
who should be on the phone right now, though? Is it Pittsburgh? You talked about Roethlisberger and not knowing exactly where his body is today. Is it Houston?
Well, Pittsburgh is one. Houston is another. Any place where someone thinks that they may have a shot and they have a banged-up quarterback should be on the phone to Cam Newton.
We move on. Agua under the bridge. That's what Toronto Blue Jays manager Charlie Montoyo is now calling it. This is the bizarre play from 2 nights ago when Tampa's Kevin Kiermaier noticed Blue Jays catcher Alejandro Kirk's card on the ground after the play at the plate and picked it up. On that card, a data card, was how the Blue Jays wanted to pitch to Tampa batters. Sportsnet reported Toronto sent a bat boy over to Tampa in their dugout to get the card. Tampa refused to give it back. Kiermaier told Sportsnet he never looked at it, but he also wasn't going to give it back. Toronto moving on from that and getting a mostly uneventful win over Tampa last night as they hang on to wild card number 2. Bob Bryan, I turn to you. And in all things written and unwritten in the rules of baseball, did Kiermaier do anything wrong?
This was a cheesy, wimpy thing to do. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for Kiermaier in this regard. He's being disingenuous. It's wrong. It's stupid. I'm sorry. I can't. Not because this couldn't have happened 15 years ago, because the catchers weren't carrying this data information. Pitchers weren't looking under their hat. They'll see how they pitch the next batter and all that stuff. But no, I have no sympathy for Kiermaier. He's out of line here, and he's trying to defend it. It's September. I didn't look at it. You know damn right well what you were doing, and so I think that's
Tim, you're shaking your head
that's
no.
wrong.
I just don't think. I mean, I don't know if this is the old guy yelling at clouds or whatever. I don't know why we have to carry, outfielders have to carry note cards in their pocket and look and see. I mean, it's not that hard. Figure out where to play hitters and play them there. Why does the catcher need that? If you're going to drop it on home plate or next to home plate and then walk away and not even notice it, I have no problem with Kevin Kiermaier. I don't care if they read it. I think it's their, if you're going to carry this stuff out on the field, protect it. Don't throw it around the home plate.
KB, did Kiermaier do anything wrong?
Yeah, Kiermaier did two things wrong. Number one, if you have the information and you said you're not going to look at it, then you're not giving yourself any sort of advantage. What are you doing? Second of all, it's somebody else's property anyway. It's not like you found it after the game in the bowels of the arena, just sitting over on the side, and you looked at it. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It was laying right there. It just popped out of off the guy's wrist. Just hand it back to him, and this wouldn't even be a story. That's theft. Not your stuff.
That's theft. When something finders keepers doesn't apply in the unwritten rules of baseball. Ramona Shelburne, did Kiermaier do anything wrong?
There's a reason why those rules are unwritten. Okay, I think it's a gut feel. Like when I played, this feels Bush League to me. It doesn't feel wrong. Like I think it's like leaving your email open and being surprised that people read it. You're not supposed to read it, but you gotta do sometimes. I also have a problem with the mixed metaphor in that agua under the bridge. If you're gonna go Spanish, you gotta go all the way. Right? You can't just do agua and then bridge in English. It's bridge is puente. Like
so, in all your years of covering sports, and what do I have in front of me right here? 50 and 40 and 30 and 20. That's a lot of 100+ years. When playbooks are lost, when things get picked up by an opposing, that happens, right? None of you have a great story about that, Bob? In all your years, you never heard about a playbook?
I've had a voicemail that was sent to me that was not meant to be sent to me.
Okay, so Ramona's heard of this, Bob.
There are plenty of stories about people finding notes left at meetings and all that. That's fine. That's their own stupid fault.
Same
this
thing.
was plain
It's the
sight.
same thing.
He knew what he was doing. It wasn't his, and he knew it.
Shanahan
Leave it
at the
alone.
Super Bowl when he was with Atlanta before he left. He left his playbook at media night, and Art Spander had to bring it back to him. Art Spander could have taken it and sold it. Retired, although I'm sure Art Spander will never retire anyway. So.
All right, Tim, take us to break. Tell us the scores. Who's leading today's show? This is my favorite part of the show.
Ramona's playing hard up there in Plasma 1. She's got 5. Okay. Bob Ryan, I felt like did better than 4. Blackstone hanging in there in second place, a distant second place with 6. And we're not surprised to see who's in the lead.
All right, buy or sell.
I think you get the mood for taking Tony's job there.
Around the Horn is brought to you.
Has made the wild card all moot by basically running the table in September. But San Diego's stagger here, it came to a head with Tatis and Machado yelling at each other in the dugout Saturday. The two apologized to fans yesterday, said it will make them stronger in the end, though the team came out a game they needed to win and lost late again. Ramona, should the Padres regret how everything played out, not just this weekend, but this year? Feel they missed out on a great opportunity?
I mean, I think they're the most disappointing team in the league. They came into this season trading for Yu Darvish, trading for Blake Snell, thinking they were going to build off winning the wild card last year. They got swept by the Dodgers in the first round, but that broke a 13-year playoff drought. So to come out and have this kind of year where you just absolutely fade down the stretch, they're 5-11 in September. Tatis, if you're saying to your young superstar, it's not all about you, I don't know how you move past that. I mean, and for Manny Machado to be the voice of reason here, he doesn't exactly have a stellar reputation.
Say that again. You don't know how, even though they say everything, we're going to learn from this, we're going to move on, you don't believe Machado and Tatis can coexist?
They'll coexist. They both make a lot of money and they're under contract for a decade or so beyond this season. But if that's what his teammates think of him, if that was what Tatis's teammates think, it's hard to change that perception.
Tim, bring you in here. Most disappointing.
It was just you watched them play the Dodgers in the playoffs, and they were using 9 pitchers a night, and you just said if they had some starting pitching, so they go get Blake Snell, they go get Darvish, and those guys both had ERAs over 4. Pitching their home games in San Diego, big disappointments from them. I think that's the start of that team's downfall.
Blackstone.
Yeah, I mean, you could throw the Yankees in there, but since we're kind of concentrating on the Padres, I mean, this is a collapse of this entire franchise. You know, they're on their 3rd manager since 2014. The manager's getting ejected because Tatis strikes out. Machado grounds into a double play to end that game. They're chirping. They have to apologize to the fans. Nothing sounds good about the Padres.
Bob Ryan.
I must concur about their fact that they're the most disappointing team in the National League. As far as the contretemps between Machado and Tatis is concerned, I think they can be patched up. Machado certainly said all the right things for public consumption about the whole thing. We do know there had to be many incidents that build up to that. It couldn't have just been the one. That Tatis Jr. has a lot to learn but I suspect that he will. I don't
But
think
in
that's a
Tatis, you have
long-term
one of the
problem.
great players of the game. He's injured for basically the entire season with multiple injuries. He's being moved positions. I mean, this team has been through a lot. It just wasn't their year. I mean, you got to feel that way as well. We'll move on. Buy or sell to Aaron Rodgers, to Pat McAfee, and A.J. Hawk.
It's absolute horseshit to give a platform to people who have no idea what they're talking about as far as my mental state and, my focus, my work habits. People that have not been around me, they're not in my life, I don't have communication with them, or not in the locker room. It's chicken shit.
Tim, does Aaron Rodgers have a point here?
There's a lot to get to here, but this is his 14th season as being starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and he continues to be shocked that when the Packers lose and he plays poorly, lose by 35 points, people would be critical and suggest maybe they didn't have the greatest offseason. Maybe something else should have been done. I don't know why he's surprised at any of this.
Kevin Blackistone?
Hey, he is on his way out the door. Is there anyone more unhappy in professional sports right now than Aaron Rodgers? But when people are talking about his headspace, he's absolutely right. They don't really know. And look what he did. He came back, he played very well, and they won the game, and they're moving on.
See, Kevin, you're getting to the point. Tim, it's not that he's saying surprised that people are critical of him. He's saying people are making judgments on his headspace. I mean, go ahead, Tim.
Because they're mentioning work ethic, but when you skip the whole offseason and you don't show up anywhere near Green Bay, and then you play terrible in the first game, that's what people are going to do.
Bob Ryan?
Here's the real story, all right? He has transcended just being a Hall of Fame-bound quarterback. He is in the process of making a documentary in which he is the director, the producer, and the star. It's called Meet Aaron Rodgers.
What?
It'll be on display in theater and streaming next spring. That's it. We're the target audience.
Oh, so
Period.
you believe? I thought you were reporting something for a second. So you say the way he's acting here
this is
makes you
obvious.
think. See,
It's so obvious that anybody can see that he's performing.
he performs
Yeah.
on Sunday, and then he brought up that trolls. It was good to get the trolls off his back. And then I asked yesterday, is he trolling people by doing that? And you're seemingly saying this is the plot of Bowfinger, and that he's doing this. This is
It's
amazing
the
to
reverse
me,
of
Bob, right?
Bowfinger. It's the reverse of Bowfinger.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
It'll be available next spring.
Ramona Shelburne, how about you?
Like, as somebody who grew up in newspapers, we had a rule of, if you say something, you write something, you show up in the locker room the next day, and people may not like it, but at least you're right there for them to see you and yell at you if you want. It's just not possible in this era anymore, and especially not on TV. So I understand where Aaron's coming from. The problem is he opens the door. He's the one talking about his Zen mentality. He's the one talking about his own mental state. And so when you open the door to talk about your own mental state, you can't be surprised when other people weigh in.
I hear part of that, Ramona. But what did we just learn? Everything we talked about with Naomi Osaka and Simone, that applies also to Aaron Rodgers. It does apply to him as
You're
well.
right.
I mean, questioning, work ethic is one thing. When you're questioning somebody's headspace, that's different. Ramona Shelburne and Kevin Blackistone, I don't know how, but you got passed by Bob Run. 27 days away, preseason 11 days away, training camp 6 days away. But for the Lakers, a mini pre-camp camaraderie getaway in Vegas this weekend, and it's been organized by LeBron, it has been known. Tim Kalishaw, is this something or not?
It's something. It's probably mostly a chance to party a little. I don't think they're going to work out too hard, and we'll see. But LeBron says we're doing something. Hey, the team's going to follow.
Bob?
This is the most powerful individual in any sport in America, telling his new teammates, we can do something special with these aging veterans if we do it together. Follow my lead. This is a very meaningful thing.
Okay, I consider me surprised. I'll give you both a point. I also think, training camp accomplishes that as well. It starts like in 6 days, What a great scoop. Someone found out LeBron was the one who organized it. We'll move on. Arch Manning, #1 recruit on planet Earth. He's visiting all the schools, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and then Ole Miss. Where his father went, where his grandpa went, where his uncle went. And Sports Illustrated's Madeline Coleman, what she's calling part of Lane Kiffin's strategy to entice Manning. Lane Kiffin has followed Arch Manning on Instagram. Bob Ryan, I go to you. Does an Instagram follow mean anything?
What year is it? Oh, it's 2021. Of course it does. To this generation, it's very important. I think that there are many young men who would appreciate, and women, who would appreciate this kind of flattery from a coach. I think it's a brilliant scheme by Lane Kiffin.
Tim?
Kiffin's playing the game the right way. I'm always stunned that anybody follows me on Instagram. I haven't posted anything in 3 years. I do have a pretty vibrant MySpace account, but I think this is the right way to go for Kiffin to try to get his Cooper Manning's son. Cooper.
Vibrant MySpace. Take the FaceTime, Callis Show. Win number 5.
Thank you. You may have noticed Tony Pollard rushing for 100 yards.